Welcome back to another Lessons Learned video. Today, we're going to be going over the Math No Calculator section of SAT Practice 1, Test 1 on College Board. Starting with question 1. If x minus 1 divided by 3 equals k and k equals 3, what is the value of x? Now, I'm going to multiply this 3 by each side, so we get x minus 1 equals 3k, right? And then x equals 3k plus 1, and we know that k equals 3, so sub in 3. That means x equals 3 multiplied by 3 plus 1. That means x equals 10, so the answer is D. Number 2, for I equals the square root of -1, what is the sum of this expression here? Now we're just going to open the brackets and add like terms. So 7 plus -8 is -1. So we get -1, and then 3i plus 9i is 12i. So the answer for number 2 is A. For number 3, on Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours, and Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours, which represents the total number of messages sent by both on Saturday afternoon. Now, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours, so that's 5M. And then Tyrone sent P messages for 4 hours, so that's plus 4P. And this gives us the total for the Saturday afternoon. So the answer for this is C. Moving on to number 4. Here we go. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need to be fixed. This is the equation, that's the model. P is the number of phones left, and D is the number of days she worked that week. What is the meaning of the value 108 in this equation? So we see 108 minus 23D, and since D is the number of days, and 23 is probably the amount of phones she fixes that day. So that means 108 is how much she starts off with. Because if she doesn't work any days, so D is 0, then P is 108, and that's how many phones is left. So the answer for this, question 4, is B. Moving on to question 5, which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? So this, we're just going to open the brackets and add like terms. So x squared y cancels out. Oh, sorry, they don't cancel out. They add up to 2x squared y. Negative 3y squared plus 3y squared, that's 0, and then 5xy squared minus 3xy squared is plus 2xy squared. So the answer for 5 is C. Moving on to 6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height h of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? So for this question, this is the model h equals 3a plus 28.6. Now, what we're going to do is, this is basically just a linear equation. So this is in y equals mx plus b, right? 28.6 is the intercept. The x and a is interchangeable. That means 3 is the slope. So the estimated increase is 3 inches per year. Moving on to question 7. The formula above gives the monthly payment. Which of the following gives P? So we're just going to rearrange this in terms of P and not M. So it's basically just going to be the reciprocal of this. So we just multiply each side by this term here, and then divide each side by these two. So the reciprocal of this would be, for number 7, would be B. Here, that's the reciprocal. Moving on to number 8. If A over B equals 2, what is the value of 4B over A? Now, what I'm going to do is multiply B on each side for this, so we get A equals 2B. We could sub that back to this expression, so 4B over 2B. The B's cancel out. That's 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. So the answer is C. For number 9, what is the solution xy to the system of equations above? Now, there are, again, different methods we could use. I'm just going to substitute. So 2y minus x equals negative 19. That means that x equals 2y plus 19. And then we could sub that back into here. So we have 3 multiplied by 2y plus 19 plus 4y equals negative 23. Now, multiplying that out, we get 6y plus, and then 19 multiplied by 3. So that's 7, that's 57 plus 57 plus 4y equals negative 23. Adding like terms, we get 10y equals negative 80. That means y equals negative 8, and for this, B is the only option, so the answer is B. For question 10, for the function g defined above, a is a constant and g of 4 equals 8. What is the value of g of negative 4? Now, we can obviously sub in 4 into this equation and then sub in negative 4, and that would be a lot of work. Now, all we need to know is that this is the only x, so we would sub in 4, negative 4 here. And since x is squared, right, we know that the negative signs actually don't matter, because a negative multiplied by a negative is a positive, and a positive multiplied by a positive is positive. So 4 squared is equal to negative 4 squared. It's both 16. So the answer is just going to be the same. So if g of 4 is equal to 8, with this expression here, g of negative 4 is also equal to 8. So the answer is A, 10. A for question 10. Question 11. In the equation above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken, respectively, X weeks after July 1st during last summer. What was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? Now we're just going to set these equations equal to each other. So we get 2.35 plus 0.025x, and that is equal to 1.75 plus 0.4x. Now adding like terms, we get 2.35 minus 1.75, right? So that's 0.6, and then 0.25x minus 0.4x, which is 0.15x. And then dividing that by each side, we get, for question 11, we get x is equal to 4. And then subbing that back into, we want to find the price per pound of beef. So subbing that back into this equation, so 2.35 plus 0.25x, and we're subbing in 4 for x. 0.25 multiplied by 4, well, that's just 1, because 1 over 4 multiplied by 4 is 1. So it's 2.35 plus 1, that is D, 3.35. For question 12, a line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1 over 7. Which of the following points lie on the line? Okay, so passes through the origin and has a slope, so that means y equals 1 over 7x. Now we're just going to go through each point and make sure it satisfies this linear equation. Now if we sub in a, so that's 7 equals, well, x multiplied by the slope. Well, x is 0, so that doesn't count. For b, if we sub in 1 for x and 7 for y, we just get y equals 1 over 7, so that doesn't count. For c, we get 7 equals 1, because 7 multiplied by 1 over 7 is 1, so that doesn't count. And then for d, that's the only remaining option. And process of elimination works very well on the SAT. You can almost always eliminate 2 answers and get it down to a 50-50. But just to check our work, sub in for D, we get 14 equals x, so that, we get 2 equals 14 over 7, and 14 divided by 7 is 2, so the answer is D. For question 13, if x is greater than 3, which of the following is equivalent to this expression right here? Now, what we need to do is we just need to simplify the denominator. So we're going to multiply the denominators by like terms, right? So we have 1 over x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3, and simplifying that, we get 1 over 2x plus 5 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now, since we have 1 over that, in order to remove that 1 over, we just find the reciprocal. So we multiply the denominator by each side, and we end up getting x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 5. So the answer for 13 is B. Moving on to 14. Where is that? That's right here. If 3x minus y equals 12, what is the value of 8x over 2y? All right. So what we want to do is we want to rewrite 8x in terms of 2. So it has the same base, so we can subtract the exponents above. So 8 can be written as 2 to the power of 3. So 8 to the power of x is rewritten as 2 to the power of 3 to the power of, we'll multiply to the power of x, which is 2 to the 3x. That's over 2y. Now, since they share the same bases and it's division, we can subtract the exponents. So it'd be 3x minus y. And we're given that 3x minus y equals 12. So that means the answer is 2 to the power of 12. So we keep the base. Moving on to question 15. If this equation for all values of x and a plus b equals 8, what are the two possible values for c? All right, so factoring this out, we get a b x squared plus 7ax plus 2bx plus 14. Right, so obviously a plus b, a multiplied by b is supposed to equal 15. So we need to find two numbers that add up to 8 and multiply to 15. That's obviously 5 and 3. Now for these right here, 7ax plus 2bx, now the two possible values would be either a equals 5 and b equals 3, or the flip of that, b equals 5 and a equals 3. So we're just going to find the values because we need to add these up to find cx. So with the first example, where a equals 5 and b equals 3, so we have 7 multiplied by 5x plus 2 multiplied by 3x. So 35x plus 6x, and that's 41x. And then for scenario number 2, we have a equals 3 and b equals 5. And again, how I found this is because for this right here, 15x squared, that's equivalent to abx squared, and we need two numbers that add up to 8 and multiply to 15. And we need to find two possible values for c. And 7ax plus 2bx will give us c. Now back to scenario number 2, that's 7 multiplied by 3x plus 2 multiplied by 5x, and that is 31x. Now looking at the options, that is D, 31 and 41 are the possible values for c. Now moving on to 16, now these are no longer multiple choice and it's free response questions. Now for 16, if t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals 0, what is the value of t? So rearranging this equation right here, we get t squared equals 4, and the square root of 4, we get t equals plus or minus 2, and obviously t is greater than 0, so the answer is t equals 2. Now for 17, a summer camp counselor wants to find a length x. in feet across the lake as represented in the sketch above. Obviously this shaded region right here. The lengths are represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch and determined to be 1800 feet, 1400 feet, 700 feet, and 800 feet respectively. Segments AC and DE intersect at B, and angles AEB and CDB have the same measure. All right, so it's great to now label each line because they give us, so AB is 1800 feet, right? EB, so that's right here, is 1400 feet. 1400 feet. BD is 700 feet. 700. And CD is 800 feet. Right here. Now we're given that AEB, the angle of that is equivalent to the angle D. So angle E is equivalent to angle D right here. All right. So that's going to help us because this is similar triangles and we need to find the like sides. Now we see here that the factor is 2, right? Because EB and BD are the same length, and that's a factor of 2. So since these are the same length, according to the angles, that means CD is going to be equivalent to AE, right? So 800 multiplied by 2, because that's the factor, and we get 1600. So that means AE is equivalent to 1600 feet. That means X is equal to 1600 feet, and that is the answer. Again, like triangles and similar angles will help you find which sides are equivalent. For number 18, according to the system of equations above, what is the value of X? All right, so again, we can either just add like terms, or we can, simplify, rearrange the equation, solve for X. So we want to find the value of X, so I'm going to use this equation. I'm going to use this equation and solve for Y, so we can get X. So we have Y is equal to -9 minus X. Now I'm going to sub that back into this equation. So we get X plus 2, right? In the brackets, -9 minus X equals -25. Now we get X minus 18 minus 2X equals -25. Simplifying that further, we get -X equals -7. That means X is equal to 7. And that is the answer. All right, for 19, in a right triangle, one angle measures X degrees where sine of X is 4/5. What is cos 90 minus X degrees? Now, it's important to remember for your trigonometry rules, sine X actually equals cos 90 minus X degrees, right? So the answer is actually still 4/5. But to double check this, I'm going to draw a triangle right here, all right? That's not a right triangle. Here, right angle triangle. So let's say this is the angle we're measuring. Sine X is SOHCAHTOA, so opposite over hypotenuse. So this is the opposite. So this is 4, this is 5. That means the remaining is 3 with a 3, 4, 5. And then cos is of 90 minus X. So that would be the opposite angle right here, because this is X degrees. And 90 minus X gives you the other angle. And cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is, again, 4/5. 4/5. So the answer for 19 is 4/5. Now for 20, if a equals 5√2 and 2a equals √2x, what is the value of x? Right? So for this right here, I'm going to sub in the a value. So we know a is 5√2, so 2a equals 10√2. And that equals √2x. So obviously, we see the √2 are equivalent, but the x and the 10 is what's different. So the x needs to allow the 10 to get out of the root. right? So what value of x would allow that to happen, or would simplify to root 10? Because we can also rewrite root 2x as root 2 multiplied by root x, and this is 10 multiplied by root 2. So root x needs to equal 10, and what value of x allows this is 100. So x equals 100.